What do classic muscle cars and cool old vintage wooden boats have in common? Well, come along with us to a very cool car and boat show in Houston, Texas called Keels and Wheels, where we're going to give you some tips on what future collectible cars are out there to be had at a bargain. When you think of America's greatest classic car show venues, you think of Pebble Beach, California, Amelia Island, Florida, and Meadowbrook in Michigan. But we've just discovered a fourth point on the classic car compass. It's near Houston, Texas, and is one of the best shows of them all. It's called Keels and Wheels, and was the first show in America to combine the artistry and technology of vintage wooden boats with the allure of vintage automobiles. Although only in its 11th year, this weekend event held every May has quickly established itself as a top-shelf concours d'elegance, attracting some very rare and rarely seen automobiles from the nation's best private collections and major museums like the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. Keels and Wheels brings it all together. Although this event is held at the Lakewood Yacht Club in Seabrook, Texas, one of the top 10 yacht clubs in the nation, Keels and Wheels is not a stuffy event full of doddering old geezers and chamber music. And one of the largest private car collections in the world is right here in Texas, the John O'Quinn collection. Of course, not every car at this show was purchased in show-quality condition, as Ken Doherty, owner of the renowned Auto Collectors Garage in Houston, well knows. He brought 16 of his clients' vehicles here for judging, and all the cars were restored at his shop.
One of the cars that Auto Collectors is bringing to the auction at this year's event is a 1967 Bizzarini 5300 Strada. It's an alloy-bodied car. They made 54 of them, and it's expected to bring over $250,000. We do a collection for a man named Tennyson Keeler, who's got his own private museum in Corpus Christi, Texas, and we bought from that collection a 1967 Aston Martin DB6 Vantage and a 1960 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Roadster with both tops.
But recently, many classic car collectors have turned to muscle cars.
Another big collector in Houston is Alfredo Brenner. At one time, he had the world's largest and rarest group of Maseratis. He sold those to do very rare American performance cars like Rivieras, Grand Prix, Oldsmobiles, and the rarest of all is the 63.5 Ford Galaxy 427 XL convertible. It's one of only two that are known to exist.
Several of the cars here at the show that were restored by Auto Collectors Garage belong to Maserati aficionado Blake Stevenson, who prefers them over Ferraris. But why?
I think it epitomizes more of the GT class of a car. Ferrari is more of a sports GT. This is more of a cruising GT car. The 2+2 Indy is a significant car for the heritage that it had in winning Indianapolis back in 1940. And it is considered the highest speed 2+2 of the Maseratis in the late 60s, early 70s. The other car that's here on display is a one-off that was designed by Frua and built by Maserati. So that was a prototype, per se, for the next generation of Maseratis to go into the 70s.
Okay, but what's the strategy for someone who's shopping for their first classic car? The experts at Street Dreams in Sugar Land, Texas, not only sell hot rods and muscle cars, they've got some tips on how to get the right car at the right price.
I've got 3 tips for a guy that's looking for a car. 1, buy something you like. 2, buy the best car that you can afford. And 3, work on a good color. Color is very important on resale. Some of the odd greens, you're like, boy, it's a great car, but the resale will hurt you in the long run. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I've got to have $100,000 or $1 million to start a car collection, and really you don't. Mid to late 70s Trans Am that you might buy for 18 or 20 grand today, then in a few years, your car's going to appreciate.
Street Dreams even found me an affordable classic, this 1962 Thunderbird with 11,000 actual miles. But something tells us there's no such thing as an affordable yacht.
Owning an antique boat is like owning your favorite piece of furniture and having it out in the rain. Lots of work, but you got to like it. I think there's about 85 vintage boats here today.
And one of the most interesting vintage boats at the show is theirs.
Well, Flying Lady is her name, and there's a lot of history. She's a 61-foot Mathis, and she was built in 1937. She's been rebuilt from the keel up. Flying Lady is probably better than she was new.
Or you could get something like this formerly top-secret Soviet-built airboat, designed in the 1950s and used to retrieve the first cosmonauts after splashdown. It's one of only 2 known to exist and valued at well over $1 million. But let's get back to the cars. All right, guys, if you're itching to get a classic car of your own, like these cool Ferrari 512, well, you can hit the internet, you can come to a classic car show, or you can become a bidder at an auction. And our Tor Dietrich is inside right now, where millions of dollars worth of cars are going on the block. But whether you're buying or selling, an auction is not for the faint of heart. Right, Tor?
That's right, man. This is the Houston Classic Auction at Keels and Wheels, where the question, what's this car really worth, is truly answered. This year's auction features 120 cars, coming from as far as Switzerland. Those attending say it's a great mix of classics and muscle cars, which draws a diverse group of buyers. Buyers like Mark Hyman, who travels the world in search of a deal.
I spend most of my time traveling around the country and traveling around Europe buying automobiles.
Mark says he buys and sells about 300 cars a year. What's he looking for?
Things like fit and finish, the way an engine sounds, and the smoke. If you see something, just one thing that's incorrect, my eye starts looking for additional things. If it looks right off the bat, it's a good initial impression, the odds are you don't have to keep looking.
And this year's big sellers? A 1935 Mercedes-Benz 540K went for an astounding $1.65 million. And with almost 13,000 man-hours invested, this completely restored 1911 Mercedes Skiff sold for just over $1 million. On the muscle side, a 1968 GT 500KR convertible fetched $330,000. And this 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda, how about $1,045,000? Yes, that was for a Plymouth. What's going on here?
We know that nobody needs any of these vehicles. This is money that is set aside, fun money. If it's not fun for people, they won't do it. So at the end of the day, we just try to concentrate on giving them a great atmosphere, great cars in a great setting, and make it fun for them.
So, is this auction game only for the rich?
No, absolutely not. About anybody these days can take part in an auction. There's a great opportunity for investment vehicles, and as you saw, we had several vehicles in the $20,000 range right up to $1,650,000, so it's a wide spectrum.
One of the great things about coming to auctions is you never know what you're going to buy. You never know how much you're going to pay. It's kind of like going to Las Vegas, except you end up getting something for your money.
With some of these cars going into the millions, auctions definitely aren't for the faint-hearted. But as the experts say, if you do your homework, you might get the deal of a lifetime and drive away in your dream car.
There's a lot more AutoTrader.com drive still to come, so don't drive or boat anywhere.